Hi, it's Elise here at Bowman Library with a whole new middle grade book spotlight. So for this week, we're taking a look at some books that may or may not contain some unlikable characters, depending upon your opinion. Now, some of these books may have characters that you've read them and you're like, I can't think of anything unlikable. And then there's others maybe in here you're like, I hated that character. Because we've all read a book, let's be realistic here, we've all read a book in which we've liked the story, but we did not like either the main character or one of the supporting characters for whatever reason that may be. So we have 6 we're going to take a look at that you may or may not agree. You know, if you don't have an opinion, you haven't read it, they're here for you to check out. So let's take a look at our 6. Our first one for today is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. So it's World War II in England, and children are being sent to the countryside, especially from London, for their protection from the bombing. And this includes the 4 conceiving siblings. So there's Peter, Susan, Edmund, and Lucy. And they're spending time at their uncle's estate, and it's kind of boring there, but it's this huge house, and they're left to their own devices. So one day they decide they're going to go play hide and go seek, and Lucy hides in this wardrobe, this big dresser, and she goes inside this wardrobe to hide, but she finds there was no back to this wardrobe. Soon though, she finds herself in this completely different place, and as the siblings enter this place and they explore it, they discover that it's called Narnia, but things are not as perfect as what it first looks like. There was an epic battle of good versus evil brewing, and the only way to have a winner is they're gonna have to battle for it. Now, this is an amazing story that will leave you laughing, crying, in shock, everything in between. And if you've watched the movie, I promise you this book is even better than the movie. Now, this is part of the Narnia series. You can read it alone, but if you want to know more about how Narnia came to be before you read this book, The Magician's Nephew is a perfect choice for that. But again, this is great as a standalone. This is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Wonder. Okay, so starting in 5th grade, Augie Pullman has always been homeschooled. This is due to the fact that he was born with some severe facial deformities. In fact, he's had to have 27 separate surgeries to fix some of the issues. But going into 5th grade, his parents decide it's time for him to not be homeschooled anymore, for him to start going to a, quote, normal school. And so he soon finds himself going to school, dealing with the everyday ins and outs of what it's like to be a 5th grader in school. And that's going to include the good and the bad when it comes to dealing with people. Now, you're going to go through this school year with Augie, but you're not going to hear just his point of view. If anything, you're going to hear from multiple points of view, including his older sister, 2 of his new friends, maybe a classmate that they're not so nice, that you can't help but wonder kind of what their deal is. But you will spend a year in Augie's and his classmates' shoes, and it will change your outlook and your mindset when it comes to having friendships with all individuals. You may find yourself tearing up at the end, so you might want to have some tissues ready. An amazing book. This is Wonder. Restart by Gordon Corman. Okay, so Chase is the captain of the school football team, and he's the well-known bully of the school. When he falls off the roof, though, he wakes up and can't remember anything. He has the amnesia. He can't remember anything. So when he returns to school, he doesn't remember the actions that have led to him being called the bully of the school, for terrorizing his classmates and not understanding why his classmates fear and hate him so much. Now, having to change many of his school routines because of his accidents, he soon learns the impact that his bullying behavior had on other students, especially since he's kind of clueless as to what happened. And he decides that he's going to do everything he can to repair the damage he has caused. But that's going to be easier said than done, especially as his memory starts to return, and he's going to have to decide what type of person, what Chase does he want to really be. This is a realistic look at the way our actions impact others, as well as like the choices that we make on a daily basis. This is Restart. Artemis Fowl. So, 12-year-old Artemis Fowl's family at one time was very wealthy, but that is no longer the case. And evil genius Artemis decides he wants to do something about it. So the genius plan he comes up with is he is going to kidnap a fairy, and he's going to hold this fairy ransom until they give them all their gold. And that's the only way they're going to survive, right? Easier said than done, right? You know, it should be pretty simple to do. Believe it or not, Artemis is successful. He enacts his plan. He kidnaps a fairy whose name is Holly Short, and soon he's requesting his demands. But that's when everything kind of stops going to plan, and soon everything kind of falls apart, especially as the fairies will do anything that they will need to do in order to rescue Holly. And Holly is she's seeing things on both sides, and she understands where Artemis is coming from, even though she doesn't agree with it. But then she also starts to see some of the choices like her own people make, and she doesn't really agree with those either. Now, the lines of good and evil quickly become blurred in this story, and you will find yourself trying to figure out what is good and what is evil and what's the right thing to do. And this is the first in a lengthy series, so I will tell you this, if you are looking for a long series, this is it. First book in it, it does end on a cliffhanger, so you will want to read the second book. The series is completed, so you can read straight through, not have to wait. There is a second book that you are going to want to pick up as soon as you are done with this one, because you are going to want to continue this battle of good versus evil, and especially when it's not as clear out as what you think it may be when you start to read this story. This is Artemis Fowl. Liar, liar. So, Kevin thinks he is the best liar who has ever lived. You know, he's just good at it. He's just good at telling people what they want to hear, right? That's good manners. You know, just tell people what they want to hear. That's going to make their lives easier, right? But as he weaves his days through his 8th grade career, his lies that he tells, they kind of start to take on a life of their own. And soon, the little lies are not so little anymore. If anything, they're starting to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And Kevin can't really keep up anymore with what lies he's told to who and about what and about whom. And he honestly can't remember. And this is going to start to catch up to him, especially when there's a girl he starts liking. Yeah. So, Kevin decides he wants out of all this. He wants out of this mess that he has caused, but he has no idea how to get out of it, especially as people around him start to get hurt from his choices, and he doesn't really want to get in trouble himself. But that may be inevitable. This is a position that we've all been in before, but this is a humorous look at it. It will have you laughing out loud and relating to it, because let's be realistic, we've all been there before. This is Liar, Liar. And our last one for this week is The Children of the King. So it's World War II in England, just like our Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe book. And siblings Cecily and Jeremy, along with their mother, decide they're going to leave London. And they venture out to the English countryside where they're going to stay with their uncle for safety reasons. Now, when they arrive at their Uncle Peregrine's estate, Cecily notices that there are other children that are aboard this train as well, but they don't have any parents. They were sent all by themselves, and they're being farmed out to different homes to stay with. So Cecily convinces her mother, let's take one of these girls with us, and that's how May kind of joins their family. So Cecily and May headed off. They start exploring the estates, and they come across the ruins of this ancient castle. And it's there that they come across these two strangely dressed boys who they have no idea where they've come from, who they are, what their names are, but they soon kind of strike up conversations. They start to get to know each other, and Cecily can't help but think that they are creepy, annoying, and strange. And there's something definitely wrong with them in the situation that they soon find themselves in, because there is more going on than what meets the eyes. And as they start to ask questions about them, there really are no answers, or the answers that are given make absolutely no sense. If you love an historical fiction book wrapped up with mysteries in one story, this is it. You will keep you guessing. You'll be guessing right along with Cecily and May as to what is this creepy, weird, annoying situation turning into. This is The Children of the King. So these are just 6 of the books that we have here at the library that, may or may not have an unlikable main character, depending on your opinion. You can check out one of these books and you can totally say, I have no idea what you're talking about. All these characters are fine. You may pick it up and you may be like, I hate the main character, it's so unlikable. But that's the awesome thing about books, is they allow for us to have opinions and to have these types of arguments and discussions, and you just can't wait to share what your thoughts and feelings and opinions are about them. So I encourage you to come on out, check out one of these, maybe gain your own opinions on these characters, or check out another one and share your thoughts about those characters. I hope you have a great week, and I hope you turn back next week when we have a whole new middle grade book spotlight.